a committee member for Young Life. And I am so excited to be here, and I'm glad I'm excited because I just had a bunch of Botox. It's the only emotion I can manage. So please don't anyone tell me your sad story about your dog dying or anything. I'm just like, that's so sad. It's awful. It's just gonna be awkward for both of us. So excited things only. My husband and I are both on the committee. Jerry Johnston, he's somewhere on here. Wave. So Young Life has been a part of his life forever. He was a missionary kid with Young Life. So his family served overseas in a French-speaking country known as France. I had no idea you could be a missionary to Club Med, but that sounds like my kind of missionary. Like, let's go to Tahiti, babe. Come on, we do missionaries in Tahiti. He's like, there's no Young Life in Tahiti. I'm like, well, there needs to be one. Come on. We're not here to raise money for my missionary call to Tahiti. Don't worry about it. We are here to raise money for Young Life, Mount Baldy. And by the way, just so you're not confused, Mount Baldy has nothing to do with our area. Just so you're not confused. I kind of like that they just name a random place to simplify things that make no sense. Kind of, like, how was the solar eclipse? Las Vegas. I want to follow suit. How about them Dodgers? Statue of Liberty?
Yes,
Mount Baldy. Mount Baldy. My favorite Young Life club is Capernaum. That is the club for special needs teenagers. My favorite, my son is affected by autism, and he goes to Capernaum. If you're not familiar with autism, his sensory system gets kind of overwhelmed, and he will get agitated, and he needs to de-escalate. So for instance, when I take him to a birthday party, all the kids are rowdy, playing games. He'll have to go off by himself and maybe lick a window. And I help him. Like, I'll pull him in. I'll give him deep pressure squeezes. Then my arms get kind of tired. And I don't want to spill my beer, so I'll just sit on him for a minute. The good thing about that, there's usually other adults who can get me another beer, so always a lot of help. I like Young Life. They teach me something. I mean, when I brought him to a club, I thought he was going to get overwhelmed, but the leaders just, made him feel so welcome, and no one has sat on his head once. I don't know how they do it. I think I'm going to start licking a window. I'm not going to knock it until I try it. I don't really understand this generation, this younger generation, because I'm an 80s kid. Okay, it was very different back then. We didn't have any of this technology or parents. We were feral children riding our bikes. We'd come home when the street lights came on. And it was, back then, if you didn't see children riding their bikes all over the place, it would be weird. You're like, where are all the kids? They should be playing out in the middle of the street like their mother told them to. This is weird. My daughter had a slumber party recently, and it was weird. They were just not making a noise. They were in the room, sitting down, looking at their phones, not talking. Are we at the airport? I'm a little confused by this. 80s kid at a slumber party? Are you kidding me? Light as a feather, stiff as a board, first thing. First thing. We didn't need games, we didn't need anything. We would just take turns, laying prostrate, coffin ready. And we'd do this little chant, and we would say we're levitating each other. And of course we're gonna say we're levitating each other, otherwise it's like, hey, let's go in the room and lift each other up. That's weird. We usually ended the night with a fainting game, and that's where we would pair up. One person would take deep breaths, and then the other person would press on our neck until we lost consciousness and collapsed. That's the fainting game. So I'm glad there was no social media back then, otherwise there'd be all this footage of a bunch of 12-year-old girls just choking each other out. That's weird. I do like to listen to podcasts. I like to listen to relationship advice and things like that. I was learning that people have different attachment styles. I learned that I have an avoidant attachment style. So so I stopped listening to that podcast. I do like the true crime, I gotta admit. I like true crime. It's a little addicting. And just so you know, they do have true crime ASMR. They do. So if you would like to fall asleep with real life horror stories, that is an option. There's health benefits, there is, to listening to true crime ASMR. You're not gonna have to cold plunge. You won't. Because you're listening to horror stories to fall asleep. You're gonna wake up in a cold sweat and crap your pants most nights. You're not gonna need a cold plunge to help you lose weight. That's true. I'm a little awkward with small talk. I get all the death stories in my head. It makes me a little awkward with small talk. I was bartending at a fundraiser for our local library because I'm a party animal. And I was bartending, and a woman came up to me, and she said, "I would like some white wine, please." And to dazzle her with a little small talk, I said, well, I wanted to say, this is what I wanted to say. I'm a white wine kind of woman myself. What I said was, I'm a white woman. And I'm just glad I did not get an invitation to a Proud Boy event because I'm not racist, I'm just awkward. I was thinking about childhood dreams. You remember those? What you wanted to be when you were a kid? I wanted to be an actor. When I was 18, I took an acting class in Hollywood. The teacher told us we needed to become amoebas and experience life for the first time. Someone started rolling around, another person drooled, or I don't know what. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. And the teacher was like, "What's holding you back?" Dignity, I think. Couldn't do it. I'm not sure why dignity was so important to me, because I spent a long time as a substitute teacher later in life. I sent a third grader to the principal for rubbing boogers on his penis. I wouldn't say that if it weren't true. I could not make that up. He was not a well-behaved student, but I think he would be an excellent amoeba. What do you think? He needs to find his calling. My favorite class to 7 was the deaf and hard of hearing class. I loved being in there. There was all kinds of interpreters in there, and they're just so passionate and just so full of life, and I just wanted to be a part of it. And I do know some sign language, but I got a little carried away. And during lunch, I asked a kid, "Do you want some milk?" That's not the sign for milk. So I did the walk of shame back to the classroom, realizing I just offered a deaf kid to breastfeed. Guys, I'm not even lactating, that was awkward. So that's my substitute teacher stories. I do homeschool my youngest son now because he's dyslexic. And I talked to his teacher, and she's like, "Are you sure you want to homeschool him? He's going to feel kind of different being homeschooled." I'm like, "Well, he is in the corner reading a book upside down. I think we're in a different category now." The good thing about homeschooling is I can give him the time and attention he needs. The bad thing about homeschooling is I'm socializing him. So we went to a restaurant, he did inquire about the house Chardonnay. I tried to toss a ball with him and he didn't want to ruin his fresh manicure. So he'll have plenty of time to be a kid. For now, he's one of the ladies who lunch. And I'm very happy to get this show on the road. I'm going to introduce to you your next comedian. He is the very funny, your favorite mortician, Juan Cias.